Apple just announced some very, very exciting additions to their MacBook Pro lineup. And let's see if buying the cheapest version of the new MacBook Pro 14 is worth it. So let's actually get to it. So because of the late night presentation of Apple's newest event, and I'm kind of towards my bedtime, I wasn't even planning on making this video, but I am legitimately impressed with what they just announced. The new MacBook Pro is pretty much the same chassis as the old MacBook Pro, but the internals, look really impressive, and that cheapest price looks really impressive too. So let's head over to the page. So obviously the biggest thing inside of these laptops is the new processor lineup. You can see here, Apple's gone from the M1 to the M2. Now we're in the M3. They announced the first three because there could be an Ultra coming out, I don't know, sometime in the future, but we've got the M3, the M3 Pro, and the M3 Max. Kind of like how we had with the M1 Pro and the M1 Max when it came out. But these processors look to be very big leaps compared to the M1 chips, which has kind of been my standard benchmark for success when talking about computers. You can see the M3 starts at an 8-core CPU. It comes with a 10-core GPU and up to 24 gigabytes of unified memory. The M3 Pro, 12-core CPU, 18-core GPU, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to read the specs to you. So these chips are now built off of a new manufacturing process. The M1 and the M2 series of chips were built on what's called 5-nanometer technology, and there are no other consumer grade computer chips currently made with 3-nanometer technology, which is remarkable. I'm normally a person that says processing power isn't everything. How much oomph do you really need? But this is starting to get to the levels where it's a revolution compared to previous. When you just have little bumps, you'll notice I did not make a bunch of you should buy videos about the M2. If the M3 delivers on the promises they just gave us, you'll probably see some of those in the future. This stuff seems to be crazy fast. In the M3 Max, up to a 40-core GPU, they're talking about ray tracing. They're talking about big, like if you want this kind of technology in a Windows computer, you need big graphics card. You need beefy gaming machines, right? This is a MacBook Pro still that's the size of just my laptop over here, and we should have all of these things inside of here. And getting very, like, this is the kind of excitement that I felt with the M1, with how much this can revolutionize, because a lot of, like, what they were talking about, do they show the, like, bar charts here? I was hoping they would show the bar charts here. They don't have the bar charts here. Maybe I'll show them in a future video if we deep dive the processors, but it's things like you can get the same oomph horsepower for like a quarter of the energy usage, or you can get the same thing as an M1 for half the energy usage. Like, that's where Apple really wins. Their efficiency processors are very efficient, and that's mainly what folks use when they're just doing normal daily tasks. And then if you're doing software development, photo editing, graphic design, all of this stuff, you'll then use that more powerful performance core, and those performance cores, those have single core performance that rival anything on the market. Like, it was a surprise when the M1 came out and it had comparable single core performance to like gaming laptops, right? But it's not a surprise anymore. And this stuff is just 80% faster CPU. Like, I'm legitimately excited about this. But the most important thing, and why I personally use an M1 MacBook Pro, is because they can do it all day. You get all of this power that I just talked about. If I'm talking about that in like my Dell XPS or my Alienware laptops, that power only lasts for so long the second you unplug it, right? Like, the battery will die very quickly, and you don't even get all the power if it's not plugged in. That is not the case with MacBook Pros. Well, any of the MacBooks, I guess. And 22 hours of reported battery life for that kind of horsepower, I'm sorry, that's impressive. Like, I know a lot of people in the comments will always call me a shill or anything. Like, Apple doesn't pay me to say this stuff. I'm just legitimately impressed, and battery life is the most important thing for me in tech. And because we can get this power with 22 hours of video playback or 15 hours of like web browsing, yeah, that's impressive. You can see we've broke it down. I'm specifically in this video talking about the cheapest MacBook Pro 14. We'll talk about the more powerful one in a video tomorrow. So one of the things, and this does kind of suck, so even with the M3, it's the same thing that we've had for years now. The M1, the M2, and the M3. Now all the standard chips only support one external display. Obviously that is not that big of a deal for me, right? I only use one external display, but come on, like, at least give the base model folks like more than just one external display. I assume this replaces the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Obviously, they didn't mention anything about it today, so I assume they have now quietly just moved that one off to the past, which is fine. The 14-inch MacBook Pro body is like the perfect laptop. So let's see. The best display, it is so good. Crisp, clear. All right. We still have the exact same connections as last year. We have the USB-C. We have the HDMI. One external display, again, kind of sucks. We still get the same incredible keyboard, the same Touch ID. We're not getting Face ID. I'm really hoping that someday, because we have this big, the notch, we're not talking about the notch anymore, right? Everybody complained about it when it first came out, but now you don't notice notches because your brain just turns it off. Like, it doesn't matter. But because we got all this space right here, I do wish they'd bring Face ID to the Mac. Okay, I think we've covered all of like the impressive stuff that they talked about, but we haven't covered the most impressive point yet, is now the MacBook Pro 14. All that cool stuff we already talked about, it starts at $1599. $1599 for the Pro body, the Pro display, the Pro processor. I am like, that's some competition. Like with the MacBook Air, right? What do we even like? Why does the MacBook Air 15? Like, why would you buy that? Because that's 15 inches. It's a slightly bit bigger. That comes in at $1299. So for $300 more, you get so much more. MacBook Air is put in a pretty precarious position for me right now. So let's order it. Let's kit this thing out and see what we can actually get. So the newest version with the M3 standard does not come in the new color. We'll talk about the new color in a future video, but you can get space gray or you can get silver. I am quite partial to silver. That base model comes with the 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 8 gigabytes of unified memory, and a 512 gigabyte storage. Everybody's going to be like, well, I wish they do 16 and a 1 terabyte. Yeah, more would be better. But who else at this price point with this build quality and this kind of processor is doing the same thing? Nobody. Nobody else. Everybody else is going to give you less memory, and they may do more storage because they can fit, other storage in there besides just this. So let's see here. $1599. We could take this base model up to 24 gigabytes, up to 2 terabyte solid state drive, and we could get a 96 watt fast power adapter for $20. All of that comes to $2619, which is not cheap, but that's a very respectable machine right here. So this is not a weak machine at all. But I think if you're trying to save the money, the base model is going to be pretty good. And let's go ahead and actually buy one and let's have Gary put his money where his mouth is, and buy this so we don't have to listen to me talk about it anymore. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Let's check out. And you don't get to actually see where I live, but you can see right here. Hey, boom! I ordered one. Ordered one right here. 14-inch MacBook Pro, the cheapest one. We are very excited to check it out. So it's not clickbait because I absolutely purchased one, right? No kidding. At the end of the day, I think the M3 MacBook Pros are going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait to get them in hand here. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see out of these computers. I think this is going to be an exciting step forward that fills in the void to the very boring and not really worth purchasing M2 Pro series of laptops. The M1's fantastic. I really think the M3 is going to be the standard bearer that takes the torch from the M1. And if you like this video, well, I don't really have anywhere else to direct you to. This was the first one. Maybe watch it again. Watch it so many times because it's really great, right? Thanks for watching.